Hello, and welcome to another episode of The Jasmine T. I'm your host, Jasmine, and tonight we're going to talk about Malcolm and Marie. This movie has been all over Netflix, all over our timelines, and tonight my co-host, Brandon Wolf, say hey to the people.
Hey, what's up?
Is here to break it down with me. Now, of course, we're coming to you from the Sidewalk Film Cinema and centered in Birmingham, Alabama, and we're going to start off by discussing what's been popping, what's been brewing on the internet about Malcolm and Marie. So, number one, I think everybody was shocked that this movie was basically one long argument. Like, I was maybe about a third of the way in, and I'm an empath, so this was just a lot for me to absorb. And I just stopped the movie, and I was like, is this just, are they going to argue the whole time? Did that, like, catch you off guard, or did you kind of anticipate it?
No.
I didn't even watch the trailer. I was just like, black people, I'm going to watch that.
Listen, I love a good black movie. And I saw it, I'm like, oh, this is about to be like the next, like, Love Jones, like 2021. Because it was beautifully shot, beautiful characters, you know. It was everything I wanted it to be. But when it started, I'm like, okay, they're going to find a way. They're going to find a way. And that's an hour later, I'm like, okay, I got to cut this off.
They going to find a way to what?
Like, fix the relationship. Or it's going to be something romantic about it. It's just... But yeah, like it was, you know, I think where it got to us is that you have, one, it was beautifully shot, beautiful characters, a bomb soundtrack, and you're just thinking like, okay, this is what culminates a great love story.
Yeah, it was booking up.
You didn't get it.
I can't really say, honestly, when Marie was standing in the doorway at the beginning of the movie, and she was just like, let's not do this tonight. Like, I felt it in her spirit. That this was like, and she said, this is not going to go well. I was at home like, it's not, girl. You need to, it's not. So once you realized, like, this isn't really getting better, was that off-putting to you? Or were you kind of disappointed?
Yeah, I was, part disappointed. But I don't think it was off-putting because, you know, for me, I was looking at this like, okay, we're about to get into something real vulnerable. We're about to learn a lesson about relationships that we maybe can take and improve upon ourselves. So that's what kept me going and kept pushing. And then I just tolerated some more. And then I'm like,
nah, this is... The first time I paused, like, gathered my feelings and decided if I wanted to continue. And then the next time I had to go get a snack. Like this, I need some type of comfort in here. So since the movie is like one long argument, what does like anger look like for you? How do you express your anger? Not necessarily in a relationship, just how do we know we make Brandon mad?
Man, that's a really awesome question. I try not to get mad, honestly.
But you do.
But yeah,
so I made a whole movie about our emotions.
So for me, I am a thinker. I'm also an empath, so I can sense when things about to just go completely left. So for me, I was just like, you know, I like to just take time to myself to reflect on, you know, what triggered me, why I feel the way that I feel, how could this be delivered differently, but also how am I going to, you know, push out a response because, you know, two wrongs don't make it right. But also, too, you know, for me, if it's within a relationship, this relationship that I care about, my first response is going to be, how do I save the relationship and make this a teachable moment so that we can build from this? Like, I'm not going to be like in Malcolm and Marie where they're going for the jugular. This was just straight emotional. It was an hour and 30 minutes of emotional haymakers.
Yeah. Now that was, you made that sound real nice. Like getting angry with you is just a delight. Angry Jasmine, you know, I define the word. I be mad. Now, the thing about it, it takes me so long to get there because I foolishly or naively sometimes believe that everything can be resolved with a conversation. So I'll try to like talk it out together. So when I finally do snap, or if I finally do snap, I'm gonna give you everything I got because I've been trying to have this conversation. And like you said, find some peaceful resolution or have a teaching moment before then. I don't think Malcolm or Marie were trying to find peace. Not truly. It's like every time they kind of resolved or cooled down, it just lit back up again.
But you know, I think what lies at the heart of that is that what happens when you have a relationship that's a trauma bond, but you have vulnerability and you don't have boundaries. And when you don't have boundaries and you have like all this vulnerability out here, you're going to either misuse the relationship or you're going to exploit the relationship, which was basically the crux of the whole argument. Whether it was intentional or it's not, the person who's doing it don't see their role in it because they're benefiting from this. In his case, he was a struggling writer who finally made this movie that allowed him to be accepted by his peers. So this is the greatest night of his life. But the entire time, his girl is like, you exploited me. You put me on screen, and I didn't get so much as a thank you.
As a thank you. We'll get to that thank you. So some people said the movie made them happy and that they didn't really have anyone to argue with. So, like, the movie made them happy that they were single. Basically, like, at least I ain't got to be dealing with all this stuff. I'm single. But that's not really fair to relationships, right? Like, I didn't look at this and be like, well, thank God I'm single. I was like, something messed up to do.
Mm-hmm. No, I think, conflict is inevitable. Whether you're single or you're in a loving relationship, you get conflict at work. You get conflict. Sometimes I have that road rage where, I'm just trying to get over, or, my pet peeve is like, before the turn lane opens up and the person behind me jump into the turn lane before it opens up.
You don't try to, like, have a peaceful conversation. Some way to make
in my mind, it's Mortal Kombat. But, I just like, yo, if you really need to get there that bad, go on. God bless you. Go do your thing. But it hits differently, right? I'm 39 years old. I've had life experiences, but I also got something to lose. So that argument piece hits a lot differently when you got something to lose. Yeah. When I was 17, we gonna fight to the death. Now at 39, it's
orange is not the new black.
Exactly. My skin is soft. I won't be well in jail. Yeah. No offense. That's not what I'm saying. Jail is all about. But, I'm not good for that.
Okay, so I saw somebody make a chart that had like just how out of pocket Malcolm was. Okay, so pocket was like right here. Malcolm was way over there. He was just way out of pocket. Now I can agree with that. But it also made me think, like, was Marie not out of pocket? Like, I saw lots of comments getting sympathy, like, oh, he did her dirty. He was just so wrong. But Marie wasn't just, like, an innocent bystander to the conversation as well. She took some jabs, too. So how do you see that?
Yeah, again, he knew what will ultimately eat at her. And she knows what ultimately eats at him, which is being called a hack, being called become a fraud, right? And she poked him, and she continuously poked him to get the reaction. The only difference, and I think, that she mentioned in the movie, was that she poked him with a limit. She didn't try to go
annihilate.
And go for and just get the win. She was just like, hey, I'm just poking you to get you to talk to me. I'm trying to get you to own your stuff.
Yeah.
And be
precious.
And just apologize. But for him, he's like, okay, now you're doing too much, and I'm about to bust you up. Yeah, I'm about to
give you the business.
Yeah, tiger uppercut.
Yeah. Both of them were really into it. Okay, so last I saw this photo that explained Malcolm and Marie with no context. He had a box of macaroni, a lighter, like the lighter she was using, a lighter cigarette, a knife, and then the New York Times, the LA Times, basically reminiscent of that movie. And I feel like that summed up the movie pretty well. If you had to describe Malcolm and Marie with no words, give a picture or something that you feel like would be relevant. What could we show that would make people think of Malcolm and Marie?
Man, I will say probably handcuffs and one of those psychology ink blots. Because, the handcuff is the trauma behind them being stuck together, right? Mm-hmm. But the ink blot is it's very black and white, but it's also what you make it. It's the perspective, whatever you choose to see. You look at an ink blot, you may say it's a mess. Other people may look at it and say it's art. And I think that's been the conversation about Malcolm X. Some of us looked at this and say, yo, this is triggering, this is messy, if I want to see people argue, I can just go pick a fight with somebody. Yeah. But then others are like, y'all don't see the artistic representation behind it. And it's so beautiful, and this is reality, this is what we are. And I'm like, okay, enjoy.
Okay. I probably would choose a bathtub because I just feel like that was very symbolic to me. Like that, a lot went down in that bathtub.
He invested in her.
A lot went down in that bathtub.
He gave it a visual. That is one thing to just say it, but to give it a visual, like it was a hard bathtub.
Yeah, we'll get to it. Okay, so now into our piping hot moments from Malcolm and Marie. These are like 3 or 4 different scenes that we feel like just really stuck out. So I'm going to start with the macaroni. So at the beginning of the movie, they come home from the movie premiere. Marie makes them this macaroni. Now, some people were saying that Marie was like tripping when she was talking later on in one of her monologues. She brings it back up like, we going through all this, but I still made you macaroni. I still, tried to be here for you. Some people feel like, girl, it's just a bowl of crap. You're doing too much. But I kind of saw it as like an act of service. Like perhaps that's her love language, or vice versa. So what about you? Was she just doing too much, or could you like see beyond it, like the artistic value?
Yeah, I just looked at it as simple as it's just, if you really care for somebody, right? Mm-hmm. There are things that you do automatic without even thinking about it. Like, I'm a gentleman. I could be arguing with you on the way into the parking lot, and I will still open your door. We'll be arguing. Close the door when you're like, you're all right, you're good, you in, okay. Close the door, get back in the car, and we're still arguing. And I just think that's just like the reality of relationships that, just because you beefing don't mean that you don't care about the person. So her caring is, he liked macaroni and cheese, so she made it. I mean, could she have made better macaroni and cheese? Yes. But come on, but this is a movie. It's quick. She's not gonna put on a robe and give you the big mama baked macaroni and cheese. By the time that finished, the movie be over. Yeah.
All right, so in the beginning, we saw her also try to just avoid this conversation. Kind of like I said, she was like, I know this isn't going to go well. Just eat this macaroni. Let's just go to bed. We can talk about it tomorrow. But we can still feel the tension, like, through the screen. So is it beneficial or, to kind of, like, avoid those conversations? Some people say don't go to bed angry. Mm-hmm. But in other moments like this, where she can kind of tell it's about to go down, should they have just tried to wait till tomorrow, or was it better to kind of, like, address it then and just get it out?
I think this is where I'm going to reach. I'm going to reach in this one. I think that's one of those things where they have some foundational issues. Mm-hmm. And whether they had that conversation today, at the moment, or later, it was still going to be ugly. Because I think what she inherently knew, and this is me reaching, is that she knows his personality enough that if she pokes at what he perceives to be his flaw or his insecurity, he's going to blow up. Mm-hmm. So it didn't matter whether it happened that night or it happened the following day. So she's letting him know in a lot of ways. It's like, I know how you are. I know this isn't gonna end well. But him feeling it too, he just wanted to get it out. He just wanted to celebrate his night. And I think that's the whole thing about when you're exploiting somebody, you don't really understand the impact of your actions fully. You just see it as harmless. Yeah. So, not a big deal. Get your emotions out, and then once you get your emotions out, we're going to go back to celebrate. But that's not what happened, as you clearly see.
I don't know. It was down. Okay, so what exactly was this movie about? Like, I've seen a whole argument that said all these different quotes and things, but the main one was just, what was it about? Was it just about this tumultuous relationship? Was it about, like, the black voice in the film world as a creative? Or was it just 2 people who don't need to be the other?
I think it's about a lot of things and nothing at the same time. You gotta take into account that this is really Sam Levinson's voice, a white male writer who used black characters to voice his frustration. So you got this whole layering about the art and how it gets critiqued. And it gets critiqued by people who don't really understand or appreciate the art form. So John David Washington's character to rally about this. We wanted to make this a black love film. This was not a black relationship. This was not a black love film.
Who is we? You say we wanted to make a black love film.
I'm going to say myself. I saw this, I was like, okay, this is about to be redemption of the photograph. The photograph didn't hit as hard as I wanted to hit.
No, I didn't watch it.
Oh, you missing out. You got to see it. They both have this whole awkward stare thing, which is
Isn't that the one that Issa Rae used?
Yeah, Issa Rae and the Keith Stanfield. But no, I just think that in a lot of ways, this reminded me as an academic, as a scholar, it reminded me of what was happening this summer with these white professors who were passing themselves as African Americans or these people of color, and they would put out these scathing reviews and push out these arguments about just a number of topics, whether it's about racism and so forth. And then, you know, people really look at something, so, wait, hold on, you're not a sister, you're not a brother, you're a white person. And because the speaker who had come from the messenger, it completely changed the narrative. And I think Levinson was really slick in giving us characters to push his real criticism about Hollywood and the industry. And he just allowed us to interpret the rest of it by making it beautiful, because it was very cleverly deceptive. It was beautifully shot. Two beautiful black characters who we all root for. I'll say we all, because we love Zendaya Washington.
Yeah.
We love Zendaya. This is her first grown adult role. She's no longer Casey or the girl in Spider-Man. Shout out to Marvel.
Casey? Is that from Euphoria?
No. Like the old Nickelodeon stuff, Disney Channel stuff. And then they gave us a great soundtrack. And, you know, Miles Davis, all of that.
So basically, we got bamboozled.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right.
And then they hit us with Liberation by Outkast at the end. Which
I
I did let it play out. I did let it ride.
The soundtrack is lit. Okay. Okay, so he's this white director here that's using these black characters to voice his criticisms about black filmmaking in the world and how it's reviewed. But what about the love story or the lack of love story? I still think it was a love story. It was an ugly love story. It was like the other side of love.
But is that
what
love?
about the love story? They were, allegedly in love.
Yeah.
I think they loved each other. I don't think we saw loving moments.
I think it's dysfunction.
Yeah,
you can call it love, but, that's not real love. That's a societal understanding and say, oh, we can be dysfunctional and be happily loved, and that constitutes a great relationship. No, it just constitutes two dysfunctional people who need help, and they can't get away from each other because they're so attached that they're afraid to do life without each other. I read a comment by one of my friends, and she said that she couldn't see those two people with anybody else. It's almost as if they were imperfectly perfect for one another, even though it was a terrible relationship.
So it was not love, maybe just some toxic codependency or something. Okay, all right. So now we move on to the bathroom scene.
Okay.
Iconic. It went down to the bathroom. It went down in the bathroom. Zendaya is trying to decompress after this argument they just had in the living room and things. And so, do you think Malcolm had any point to his argument? Because, like I said, Zendaya took a jab to him, and she told him, basically, you exploited me. This is my story, etc., etc. And so, was he just stating facts when he came back and was actually like, girl, this story about her, him, and you too?
I think it's a combination of both. I think you both can be right. Is that, yeah, she was taking jabs. She touched his insecurity when she called him a fraud because she said, you put my life on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
And you didn't come from that. So there's no way you could really author out an authentic experience. When that hit him hard, he comes back and just eviscerates her. Mm-hmm. He went overboard, with providing the details and trying to create this imagery in her mind that's going to continue to
enjoyed it? As he was tearing into her?
I don't think he enjoyed it as much as it was his attempt to try to shut her down.
Yeah. I know that. So how would you have liked to see Marie respond? Obviously in the moment she was broken and she was just crying. But on the flip side, it was another day or something. How could she have responded? Or would you have liked to see her respond?
There's at that point, there's a place where you go too far. And it's like a point of no return. Mm-hmm. And I think that's it. Me personally, I would have left. Mm-hmm. I would have been out. We have to go to counseling if we're really trying to save this relationship. But even then, I'm the type of person listen, this is a relationship. This isn't a marriage. So if you can go this hard, I think you need some help. I'm going to go get some help for what this trauma I experienced. And we just don't go our separate ways and live our happy lives.
Yeah.
I joked about it. I was like, you know what? Had it cut to another scene with her burying him in the backyard, I would have been mad.
I would have been mad. I think that would have been
great. I
don't even advocate
violence, but I would have been mad. I said, you know what?
I think that would have been pretty cool.
I understand.
Yeah.
And let the rest of the movie be about her going through the emotions of burying the person she loved.
We ain't got to see that. I think we could just have some fire song in the background while she buried his body and lit another cigarette.
Mary J. Blige. There you go.
Yeah. All right, now the knife scene. So this is where she comes around and tells him basically like, you should put me in this movie. You know I'm an actress. Why didn't you? Now I think there was also a lack of accountability because he said you didn't even audition. Like you didn't even really go for it. So what do you think about this scene? She obviously pulls out the knife and gives him her greatest performance. So how'd you feel about it?
I think this is where I fault Marie on this personally.
Okay.
Is that, she didn't speak up and advocate for herself because she was expecting him to advocate for her and see her because she was right there with him while he was writing this role out. And while she's giving him pointers about quote unquote her life and that's being put on the scene. I think that because she did not advocate for herself and she just assumed that, hey, you shouldn't even have to cast this role. You can just give it to me rather than give it to an actress that she doesn't like. That kind of falls in her lap. She should have said something. She should have said, give me an opportunity. But I think there's a part of her that knows that as he was going for it and doing this film, this is me reaching a little bit because we don't see this, is that this was like his perfect caper. This was like this perfectly well-written film. And like she stated, she felt that had she been cast, had she got the role, and Hollywood begins to ask questions about the authenticity of the role, and she says, hey, that's my life, it takes the shine off of him.
Yeah.
So in a lot of ways, I think there's an ego piece of this where he was intentionally trying to protect himself by not giving her the shine because he didn't want it to be about her when he felt that this is his baby, this is his masterpiece.
Yeah, Malcolm didn't really want to share the moment. And I also think Marie was a bit afraid. Like, it sounds like what you want and what she should have gone for, but I don't think she was truly confident in herself enough to, like, step in the role and audition. But she was clearly salty about it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
All right, so now, finally, the last scene, or Marie's ending monologue, where she tells him and breaks it down, like, all I wanted was a thank you. Let's see. This entire argument, sorry, I forgot what it was. So Fallon said this entire argument is how unspoken expectations damage relationships. I think that's a good point. I think they did. We just talked about Marie and expecting him to cast her. That is like an unspoken expectation, or at least that you would give me the shot. I definitely agree with that. Like, nobody knows how you're feeling if you don't say anything.
Yeah, I always say if you hold somebody to an unspoken expectation, they're going to fail every time.
Yeah, and you disappoint yourself. Like, you playing yourself. You can't get what you want if you don't vocalize it. So yeah, Marie and this thank you. She finally vocalized it. Was she still like seeking Malcolm's validation, or was it just like gratitude? Like I was saying earlier, like what if acts of service was her love language? What if words of affirmation are as well?
I think it's a combination of both, right? I think she wanted the thank you. She wanted to be acknowledged because, again, she felt that was her on the screen. But I also think that she wanted the gratitude of the thank yous along the way. Because it wasn't just about it wasn't just about the speech. It was about, hey, I put in these hours. I basically worked for you for free.
Yeah.
I gave you the inspiration for these characters. I'm the muse.
You're raw.
And you've never once thanked me, but yet you get in Hollywood in front of these people and you act brand new, and I still swallow my pride. I still come through for you. I'm giving you the sexy. I'm giving you the dress.
She was wearing that.
I'm absolutely right.
Yeah.
She's giving you everything, and all you got for me is this back and forth. Rather than just say own it from the beginning, say, you know what, you're absolutely right. I got caught up in the moment. I did not think about you. Maybe I was too close to you in the situation to even see you, which can happen at times. To just own it, he had to try to defend himself, and he couldn't defend himself. And when he ran out of ammo, he just came with the big guns, literally. And he was shooting to kill. And it just went too far.
So is that the part why you feel like Malcolm never said thank you? Because even after she goes through all that, he still doesn't be like, okay, sorry, thank you.
I think in a lot of ways, which makes them, I think what probably draws them together is that they both wanted validation. Him pushing at this LA Times critic, he wants to be validated. As an artist, he didn't want his stuff critiqued and torn apart. He wanted to be seen as the genius as he felt he was. And at the same time, she wanted the validation of like, hey, I am your muse. I am with you. I am your lover as well. And I need you to validate me on both ends.
Yeah. So clearly, they're just not a great couple here in this moment. Could counseling save them, or is it just a wrap?
Just me talking.
Yeah, you know, go close.
It's a wrap. It's a wrap.
I agree, but why do you feel that way?
Again, I mean, so much of the foundation is missing. Like, you gotta be friends. Clearly, he loves what she represents, which is the muse he needs in order to produce great artistry. She loved what he represents in terms of being the one who's helped her, being the one who can relate and seeing her in the most vulnerable moments and didn't just cast her aside but actually helped her and helped build her up and stayed with her, right? But that's one or two moments, that's a little bit of service. I will say that in some instances, I'm like, hey, that's just being a good Christian. That don't make you like lovers.
Yeah. All right, let's see. Balancing. I think it's the public acknowledgement goes in. Don't forget he had apologized previously before the argument began. He did. I just don't think they were that sincere. Or even Marie agreed that it was really sincere. He did.
Get you off my back.
Yeah, I'm going to say this so you can, like, leave me alone, but I don't really mean it. And for me, that would be bothersome because this empath over here, I know it did it. So it's not, I'm not going to be satisfied, I guess. But thank you, Colin, for tuning in. And
shout out to Colin B.
Lovely. So now it's time for our games and guesses. Okay, so since we've been talking about whether or not the relationship is counseling or call it quits, I'm going to throw out some more celebrity couples. And you tell me if you think maybe if they go to counseling, things will be better, or if they should just call it quits, okay? We're going to start off with Tasha and Marcus from Why Did I Get Married? I'm appearing movie. Did you see that?
Okay, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, they were the feisty. Tasha was always giving him the business. Marcus was dibbling and dabbling.
They can make counseling.
Okay, check for them. Martin and Gina. Now, this was a faves 90s couple, but our new age mind has looked back and been like, we kind of toxic.
I think absolutely they can make it work counseling. But I really don't think they need counseling. I mean, I'm a 90s baby, so 80s baby, so I grew up watching Martin and Gina, and even looking back at it now as an adult, you know, they were silly. They were that to each other.
They were, definitely were.
It's just that those jokes that was flying for us in the 90s that we was laughing at, you're not gonna get away with that. You're not gonna call no black sister with a natural BB.
Oh yeah, he did Pam's.
Yeah.
Pam's stuff was so wrong, but I was laughing when I was a younger child. I would have liked to see Gina advocate for herself more. He kind of ran over her sometimes. Just his depiction of her. It was like clearly he saw himself up here, and she's like, just even if it's not that far, but she still believes him. I want to be right here. Kelso and Jackie from that 70s show. Now we know this couple is really married in real life, actually featuring Mila Kunis, but their characters on that 70s show. Did you watch that show?
I barely watched it. I caught 2 episodes, and I think that's when she moved on to the other guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I think they could have made it.
Yeah, I think so too. They were young and cute and silly.
Exactly.
I mean, y'all got time to run. Yeah, y'all got time. All right, we have Whitley and Dwayne from A Different World. Shout out to Whitley. I'm named after Jasmine guy.
Yeah, they would have made it. They definitely needed. They could have. I'm not sure if they really needed the counselor. I just think that they were young people just going through the motions, and she took them for granted. And when she saw him come back with Keanu,
I think he took her for granted.
Yeah, he took her for granted too. But just different ways, right? Yeah. But when she saw him with Keanu, like she was like, I need to step up. And I think that sometimes you just don't know what you had until you see somebody else appreciate it a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and our last couple is another classic, Monica and Quincy from Love and Basketball.
I'm gonna look directly at the camera and say, remember me for this sacrifice. Okay. Love and Basketball is completely overrated. They shouldn't be together. I think that was extremely problematic. I mean, just imagine. I mean, because you see no problem. How are they problematic? Because I want y'all to think about the sacrifice. Imagine you coming home to your man's mama house, and y'all engaged. You about to get married, and you wake up and realize you lost your fiance over a basketball game.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying it couldn't have rocked with me in this relationship, but
So that brother can go all these years without talking to her, but secretly carrying his flame, get into a whole other relationship, professes love for her, proposes to her, and then just like that,
she's right back in it. Yeah.
That brother got other issues.
Yeah, I agree. But so does she. Like, for Monica, for Whitley, for Gina, I just would have liked to see them maybe even have a little bit of time alone just to grow more in themselves and become like stronger women. Because I do think if they had a chance to just come into things with a more self-assured mindset, they would have took some of these jabs and jokes and things from these dudes.
At the end of the day, they're together now. So I don't even think they need counseling. I think they're fine. I think that through all his struggles, he accepted his role. Now he's a glorified basketball husband. You know.
Basketball.
I mean, you saw him at the game.
Yeah,
Come on.
yeah. All right. So now it's time for our guests.
Right.
So do you think Malcolm and Marie will still be together by the time his next movie premieres? Hypothetically, out here, they could take a few years.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Why so?
It just strikes me as this has been the ebb and flow of their relationship for a long time. This is me reaching, but she did say in the movie, this is the first time we had an argument at this level. I do think that with him caring for her, I can see, and me knowing people that's kind of similar to this relationship, him making some type of grand gesture and trying to win her back. Because clearly he cannot do without her because she saved him as much as she saved him as much as he saved her. Mm-hmm. So those two are going to keep coming back to each other.
Okay.
They're almost custom made through the struggle,
okay.
Which isn't always a good thing.
No, it doesn't sound like it. Do you think Marie knows how to make grandma's, in the oven baked macaroni and cheese? Or is she a craft boxer?
I'm not even gonna put that out there. My girl's in there.
Yes, you are.
I mean, in the movie, I'm gonna say nah.
Okay, we talking about Marie, not Zendaya.
Yeah, I'm gonna say nah, because when you know me as a cook, I looked at the kitchen. I'm like, it's a nice kitchen, but that kitchen looked like it hasn't had any miles on it. But then again, they were in the rental studio guy. Yeah, so maybe who knows? That's a hard one.
Yes or no?
I'm gonna just give it yes because I'm biased. I'm guessing there. I'm gonna give it a credit.
All right.
You can cook until you show me you can't cook.
What do you think Malcolm and Marie's primary love language is like?
I think for her, based off of what I've seen, it's words of affirmation and acts of service for Marie. For Malcolm, I think it's words of affirmation and physical touch.
Yeah, you get the touch game going on. Okay, I can see that. Now, you've been a lovely guest on Jasmine T. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you come in around at 7 o'clock as well. We're going to be recapping Bridgerton episode 8 with T. Marie. Follow Brandon on social media at BWolf, PhD. Any other ways you would like people to connect?
If you see me in the street, say hello, but keep the distance because this is COVID pandemic season. However, man, I'm open. I make UAB. I am all over social media. I don't even think you have to be my friend to see the content I'm pushing on Facebook. I'm all over the place from educational stuff, social justice work to just random movie thoughts, which brought me here. So don't be a stranger. Reach out. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram, and that's about it. I think, I'm doing Clubhouse, but I'm not sure if I'm going to stay.
Yeah, I'm on Clubhouse. I don't know if I went in the house, but I'm at the house.
Yeah, I'm not trying to do too much big for it. Everybody's trying to be a millionaire. I can't get that.
We'll see. Well, friends, please send all of your questions, comments, and observations to thejasminetpc.com. Brandon and I are about to do a quick bonus interview, which you can hear on the podcast later. But bye for now.
All right, peace.